You're this perp back with another video, and I just got done watching Batman the Cape Crusader. This is a brand new series that is coming from Bruce Timm's, you know what I'm saying, the person that brought us the amazing animated series. This is not a continuation, but it's kind of its own thing, keeping with the same style of the animated series, but just updating the effects and just the animation and whatnot. It's brilliant. I really enjoyed this 10 episode series, and man, I just can't wait to see more. I really like the setting, this being set in the 40s, like an alternate 40s, so you don't have a super teched out Batman. We also have a female penguin that's very different. This penguin has two sons, ends up killing one of the sons, and also has this machine that can just like detonate buildings and whatnot. I really like this introduction of this penguin, and just a lot of characters that we're familiar with got like a different kind of twist. We also get introduced to brand new characters for this series, like Montego, and also Lucius Fox is in here. So there's a lot of interesting setup going on in this first season as well. A lot of just new origins, like Clayface here, and how it goes from being magic to, you know, something practical, where it's this guy that wants to change his face and whatnot. That was really cool. Also, we have Harvey Denton here before he becomes Two-Face, and just that build up of, you know, him running for mayor and having to deal with all this corruption. There's all these corrupt cops and just a lot of like different things going on, and I really just like the tone of each episode that was put on display, and also kind of seeing a Batman that's kind of not new to this, but he is definitely rough around the edges, but ends up finding himself by the end of the series. He does fuck up, especially in the first episode, and he tries to make things right. But the guy that is voicing Batman in this is incredible, man. He's old boy from Midnight Mass. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he damn near sounds like Kevin Conroy in this, but with a little bit of a raspier voice. Fantastic job, and just how he's able to switch from Bruce Wayne to Batman. Sometimes he'll sound like Batman while he's Bruce Wayne. Really dope shit, and just the animation and just the whole vibe of this is just so dope. The whole murder mystery, villain of the week type of vibe that you get with these first few episodes, while it's still building up to like the big finale and whatnot, and just seeing everything that Bruce has to deal with, and we kind of see a glimpse of his past, which is really interesting how they go about this, because, you know, Bruce gets into some shit in here, not as Batman, but as Bruce. So he ends up having to go see a therapist. And I really like that this therapist ends up being Harley Quinn. But once we get to like episode 3 right here, this is where we get the introduction to all of that. We get introduction to Selena Kyle, which she does a great job. This actress that does her voice, and just gets the whole cadence down, you know, the sexiness of Catwoman. And going back to Bruce and him seeing Harley Quinn as his doctor, I think that's really an interesting kind of flip, and it makes you think, like, is there a Joker in here? We're gonna get to that, but I really like this version of Harley Quinn for sure. And also the introduction to Catwoman, her being inspired by Batman to kind of do her own thing at the same time, and just everything about her character was really dope, and I can't wait to see more of her. I think they did a really good job of just setting up the groundwork for these two characters, while also kind of, like I said, diving into Bruce's past and what's kind of bothering him, and even kind of taking those frustrations out on Alfred. He doesn't call him Alfred right up. He just calls him Pennyworth. And, you just kind of see this kind of taking a toll on him, and why he's doing this, and why he's become Batman. It's just really dope to see. I really liked episode 3, how they just introduced everything. And then now we see, as the season progresses, that as Batman, starts to make himself more known, he starts to kind of get more enemies and even have the cops on his back. But I like that they even reach out to Harley Quinn herself, because they don't even know that she's about to turn a villain. And we get some other villains that, I'm not too familiar with, like Firefly, but he wants to be called Firebug. This was cool. And like, you see more of the corruption with the police, the people that are working under Commissioner Gordon. They're not all the way, solid. But like, let's talk about this version of Harley Quinn, because I feel like this was very interesting. You have her kidnapping, her patients and brainwashing them, which is really interesting, while also being best friends with Barbara Gordon. And that becomes like a conflict of interest, and, her starting to date one of the officers, Montoya, and whatnot. And it just becomes a lot more personal for Barbara as a whole. And it just becomes like a shell shock to her that she would have never thought of her friend for this many years to kind of be this crazy or be involved with something so heinous. So, it's also interesting that, Batman comes to cross with Harley Quinn and not the Joker this time around. So I kind of really like that change, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with her character in future seasons. Now, there are some brand new characters for this show, like the Gentleman Ghost, or Ghost Gentleman. Very bizarre. I didn't know how to really feel about it, but I guess this is their way of kind of showing that there is going to be a supernatural element to this show as well. And seeing Alfred getting possessed and throwing hands with Bruce was really dope to kind of see. I just want to kind of see where this all goes, because at first I didn't know how to feel about it, because the Gentleman Ghost kind of felt more of a Scooby-Doo villain than a Batman villain. But the guy at the end, I'm just gonna call him Papa Legba or something like that. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know how to feel about that. But as this whole series goes on, you have Harvey Dent, doing a lot of shady things and being frustrated with being very low on the polls because he's running for mayor. So what ends up happening is he starts to kind of lean more towards the criminals, and there ends up being this hit being put out on Gordon. And we have this really mysterious person right here, which I would think that this was the Joker himself. He just didn't, say he was, but just the way he was acting, the way he was fighting Batman, it was very bizarre. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. Now, as we get to the later episodes, this is where things really start to get crazy, as we get introduced to a young Dick Grayson, a young Jason Todd, and a creepy Wednesday looking girl that's name is Natalia. She feeds off of energy. This supernatural kind of episode was pretty dope. I preferred this over the whole Gentleman Ghost episode, but it's interesting to kind of see that continue and just be a theme. Now we get into Harvey Dent actually becoming Two-Face, because now he got in bed with the wrong people. Now he ended up getting burnt, literally, acid thrown in his face, and now he has to deal with just this monster. And I really like how they depict this version of Two-Face as almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And Harvey just kind of going off the deep end and just crashing out, and Bruce kind of blaming himself for pushing him towards that way. Uh, but also you see Barbara Gordon trying to kind of bring him back and wanting to represent him, because she just feels like there's still some good in him, but it's like off and on. And the ending is pretty crazy to this, where everybody's trying to gun for Dent right now just because he knows too much and he can expose a lot of these corrupt officials and different people of power in the crime syndicates and stuff like that. So yeah, they end up Barbara ends up saving Dent and whatnot, and now she kind of puts herself into harm's way just to protect him, because she feels like it's right. And then all of our characters kind of come together to work together, but it ends up going kind of crazy, and Barbara almost ends up getting killed, but then Dent kind of jumps in front of the bullet to save her. And I like this little scene with Batman getting pissed off at this gun and just all his frustrations because he feels like this could have been prevented. But then, people get put away and we get somewhat of a happy ending for at least this season. I like that Batman now acknowledges Alfred as Alfred. And then the season ends off with, Batman just threatening these other gangsters and stuff like that. But here's the dope teaser right here. You see a bunch of people laughing and stuff, and it seems like they're being experimented on. And we get a little bit of peek at the Joker right here. And I am so excited to see season 2, because that seems to be like that's going to be a focus in season 2. Overall, really dope season, man. I really like the new takes. It feels refreshing but also familiar. It's like taking something that we're familiar with but just putting a fresh coat of paint on it, doing something different and unique. Let me know how you guys feel about this first season in the comments below. Till next time.